I'd like to again welcome everyone to the joint BOCC and BOE Budget Committee meetings for Nash County. The work for our district, for this committee is embedded in the Finance Committee. And with that being said, I'll yield to the chair of the Finance Committee, Mr. Sharp, to continue.
Thank you, Dr. Jeffries, and again, good evening, everybody. It's good to see everyone here to do the business of our community and our county. First of all, I'd like to extend an extended welcome to all of the Nash County folks and for the administration for being here today. We hope that we can get a lot of things accomplished. Dr. Jeffries sent me an agenda. I was excited about some of the things we were looking at. There were a couple of things that sort of caught us a little bit off guard because it was last minute planning, but we'll go through those as well. So with that, welcome, thank you, appreciate you guys being here. And we're gonna look at, first of all, the things we're gonna talk about, the impact of the administrative salaries. Susan.
She's behind you.
We're behind you.
Oh, isn't it?
Ms. Blackwell and Ms. Sanders both prepared.
You want me down here or just sit in this?
Wherever you're comfortable.
Can I just sit in my seat?
Stand. You want to sit here so you can see?
Okay.
Sure.
Yes, sir, I'm fine. This is just a quick update. I think that was requested last time. By the way, this is Shanice Sanders. She is our budget coordinator.
Hey.
Become my right-hand person, maybe my left hand too. Go ahead. This is the current principal salary schedules as of this year. And you can see that it is based on the ADM, and then the base, the growth, and the growth exceeded. So you can look and see what the salary grade is all the way across. And then we spoke of held harmless last time. What is held harmless? It's the amount that ensures the principal or the AP with the correct certification will not be paid less than they would as a teacher. So when they're promoted to a principal, of course you don't want to make a principal make less than a teacher. So the amount is the difference between the certified salary for the current position and the certified salary of the lesser position. And only exists if the administrator would make more in a lesser position. In other words, if they make more as a teacher, then they get held harmless. This is an example of the same employee, same certification, different salaries. And so this is the actual principal in our district, correct?
It is.
Okay. On the principal salary schedule, they earned a B, and so the principal salary would be $61,751 annually. This is based on the current. So we have to figure them three ways now to figure out what they make. We have to figure them as a principal. Then we have to turn around and figure them as an AP, because some of them would make more as an AP. And in this case, this person would. Then we have to figure them as a teacher. Now, this person has a master's and is National Board Certified. So, with that being said, she would make $72,180 as a principal.
As a teacher.
As a teacher, excuse me. So, the difference would be the held harmless.
Can we go back there for a moment?
Yes, sir.
In the last session, we talked about the impact to succession planning. In a time where leadership is of pivotal importance for our organization, it is a very difficult sell to identify talent and ask them to take on more leadership responsibilities when they would suffer perhaps a $10,000 loss in pay. So I asked our finance department to use real cases so that we can make this as simple as possible, but that is a significant impact. Absent that held harmless position, this is a principal who we know will do an excellent job for us, that would take a significant cut in pay for taking on more responsibilities for the district.
What is that, under teacher scale? I understand the M is masters. What does the 21 mean? Years of
Years.
service? And the N means?
I'm national board certified.
So a teacher with a master's, 21 years of service, national board certified, that's what they would make.
Yes, sir.
Is that with their supplement?
No, sir.
That is without supplement?
Mhm.
Wow,
Plus it's just 10
I
months.
got one in that category.
You figured that on 10 months employment. That principal's salary is based on 12 months.
That's right.
So there's a 2 months difference. So if they could even earn even more
And,
if they were
and
working
this year
summer
we
school.
did sit down with, Ms. Bass and I sat down with every AP and every principal and had them sign a salary sheet. And everybody had the same question. What happens next year? Well, we had no answers. But obviously it's a big concern to the administrators in our district.
But that teacher, again, that is without exception. If I have a master's, 21 years of service, national board certified, without supplement, my salary is gonna be 72,000.
Yes, sir.
Are we gonna be able to get a copy of this?
Yes, sir.
Okay, thank you.
It's, I mean, it's in the, if you look at the state salary schedule it's in there. So anyway, we figure what is the highest salary of the three, and the difference is the held harmless amount. So for this principal, the certified salary for the principal's position is 61,751. The computed held harmless is 10,429. So the total monthly salary is 72,180. So that difference right there just makes sure that the principal does not make less as a teacher, as a principal than as a teacher.
In comparing this with private industry, how does it come out in connection to salaries which may be comfortable positions, maybe administrators?
It don't. If you look at someone from a principal's perspective and the amount of people they overseas manage and the facility they manage, and you try to get someone in the private sector to manage that large amount of people with that responsibility, for that amount of money, correct me if I'm wrong.
Do you know that for a fact, or are you just making a statement of what you think?
No, I just know what our
Okay.
skills
Because
are.
I wouldn't say that would have been my experience.
Yeah, I know what our skills are. I just,
Definitely not the experience in my field.
I tell you what,
That would not have been my experience at Abbott.
I just
And I
lost,
dealt with a lot of people.
I just lost the manager who was not the production, was not the plant manager. He was not the plant manager. He went off, he was a production operation manager.
Mhm.
He's making $130,000.
You know, one clear way to get an understanding on that is to request that information from folks like Pfizer and places like that. We could do that.
Yeah, right. King, Pfizer, because we got a group of folks that actually did that. As a matter of fact, we could actually,
Matter of fact, I'd like for us to
So-
request that if that's a point of question, then we could compare that.
okay,
Would the purpose be for us to have parity with those corporate industries?
looking at responsibilities, size of responsibility as far as the people, number of people that manage and the responsibilities. Because I know inside of a school district,
That's-
and
I was just for
Right.
clarification.
The purpose for me is not parity. The
Edification.
purpose for me is Mr. Belfield asked a question, and Mr. Sharp made a response, and I don't know that response is an accurate response. So if we want to see what's accurate, we can get the information.
Well, I honestly think, ladies and gentlemen, that you're not gonna ever be able to compare
No.
governmental salaries
Absolutely not.
with private sector. You you have to work along the line. We need to be looking at what principals in other school districts make.
There
And
you
that's-
go.
And this is the state
Right,
scale.
I understand, but when you
Well, I
don't
asked-
have any principals in private sector
Right.
other than in a charter school, if you wanted to call that private sector or a private school, but you got to compare apples to apples, no matter what you're comparing.
If
I asked that question because I was just wondering, in this situation where you'd be losing people going to the private sector.
I think, if I may, the challenge for us is really getting people into administrative positions. I mean, given what we put on administrators, the amount of time that they put in, the 12-month as opposed to 10 months of work, is we need strong administrators in our system. And if they can make $10,000 more a year, and I think this is one of the more extreme situations, but there are many others in our system that are also impacted negatively. What's the incentive to get strong administrators? And strong administrator makes a strong school. If you don't have a strong administrator, you're not going to be able to have strong teachers in classrooms. And so that the challenge for us is not
Definitely agree.
necessarily the parity with the private sector, but instead, how do we provide incentives for people to go and stand in these administrative positions that are very, I'm looking at Mr. Farrow because I'm thinking about 9 years at Rocky Mount High School, very stressful positions where he's got to make 10 different decisions in a 10-minute period of time or less. And what are the incentives to do so? That's really more the issue, I think, for us.
If you also look at the responsibility, and we have principals in this room, and the roles that they carry, the number of people that they oversee, and from managing as well as the facility side, managing that entire facility.
One issue that bothers me with this scale is Dr. Jeffries, you alluded to this, is the recruitment piece. As I see this and as I studied it, it looks like to me, based on our school system now, you gotta remember, we cut our APs from 12 months down to 11 months last year, and we're gonna cut most of them down to 10 months this year, based on our 2-year budgets. It would behoove me to think that a teacher would not be able to want to go into administration because our supplements for our administrators are a lot lower than our teachers. Because the county commissioner was so gracious to us to allow us to increase our supplements, but we were only allowed to increase them for our teachers. We were not allowed to increase them for administrators. So our assistant principals especially are being hit very, very hard based on trying to balance our local budget in terms of assistant principals, because the state will only pay assistant principals for 10 months. And they only allocate so many per school. And we go well beyond that. So we're going into our current expense money big time and cutting back on that. I think it was what, 1.2 million last year?
1.2 million was the savings
Yeah,
for the
so
total
that's-
rev.
That's my immediate concern is where are we going to get these people? When our counties next to us are paying their assistant principals at least 11 months, some of them 12 months.
I think we'll see that, Mr. Dahl, in that presentation that they
And
got.
for the
So
record-
that's-
Okay.
For the record, that reduction in force was to bring the district in alignment with the state allocation. We were outpaced with our allocation. Mr. Blackwell.
Well, just to keep history straight on the table, Mr. Dull, the commissioners didn't do all that was done for your teachers. We worked at it jointly. And at the time, that was the ask. Y'all provided half of what you got, we provided half of what you got.
And we appreciate that. I want you to know that we appreciate
I
that.
understand that, but that's what we were working on at that
Right,
point in time.
right.
Apparently today, we have moved beyond that, and now we're working on administrator supplements possibly, if indeed we are out of line with our adjoining and comparable school districts.
With the current the salary schedules and our current employees, the cost of the held harmless is roughly $135,000 annually. Starting this year, if the law holds, it will have to come from local funds. And as we have figured these salaries for the past I don't know, 3 or 4 years. It looks like to me, every year they hit a certain section of the teacher's salary schedule that they increase. And so with that being said, until the teachers started getting these increases, it really wasn't that big of an issue. But now, as the teacher's salary schedule has increased over the past 3 or 4 years, it has become an issue. You know, the held harmless and all of that, you can see a major difference. So we just gathered a few local supplements. These are our current supplements. As you can see, the teachers range from 10 with a bachelor's to 11.5 with a doctorate. The APs start at 7 for an elementary, 8 for a middle, 9 for a high. Principals, 7.5, 8.5, and 9.5 respectively. And these, I hope you can see this.
Is what you showed us average supplements for these people, or are they fixed numbers?
They're fixed numbers.
So you don't have a principal that's making more than a 9.5% supplement?
No, sir.
Okay, all right, just want to make sure.
No, not unless it was a negotiated salary at the time. I'm not going, I don't, but most of them are 9.5. If there was a hard to fill slot,
Right.
I'm not gonna stand here and say I don't have a principal that doesn't make more than 9.5%.
Would that negotiated salary show up as a supplement?
Yes, sir.
Okay. And
We would get an audit exception if we overpay them in the principal line item.
so that there is another avenue to get to where a principal makes.
But it
more
does
supplement.
still come out of local money.
I understand that.
Yes,
Uh,
yes, but I mean,
would
if you have a hard to fill school
Yeah.
and you can't fill that principal's position,
It's just the information, what little information I have, I do know you got principals making more than a 9.5% supplement.
Yes, yes.
And I'm wondering how they got there. And so
and
you're
that's
saying,
why you had a hard to fill slot.
You had a hard-
And I'm not personnel, I'm just
I
simply
understand.
saying,
Okay,
we have a list of them, and I have seen some that makes more than 9.5%.
okay.
Some of them are to the point, I don't know where it came from because it's from years back. But,
Well, wouldn't it be better information if we were to see what your total principal average supplement is? So we know how much that what you call negotiated salary affects where we really are?
We can prepare that information.
we already have that information. I can tell you just off the top of my head, there's very few left because we've been kind of hanging with the salary schedule because we have to.
Okay.
But this compares Nash-Rocky Mount to Johnston, and you can see that Johnston is some areas quite a bit higher than we are. And the principals they're just given a the state salary plus $10,000, whichever is higher.
Whichever is higher.
Wilson County, looks like they are beneath us on teachers. But as the APs and the principals, they're a little higher. They also give their classified staff a 6% raise, a 6% in supplement.
What does that word mean? Classified.
People like me, that's not certified.
Non-licensed.
Okay, okay,
Mhm.
okay, thank you.
The TAs and all of those people. This compares to Halifax. Now you can see their teacher salaries, the supplements are quite a bit less than ours are. But then when you go up to the assistant principals and principals, their principals are almost double what ours are.
So that base salary would be the same theoretically,
Yes, sir.
and that principal would be making 10% more money in Halifax County.
Yes, sir.
Now, which system in Halifax are you comparing it with? You got 3 school systems over there.
Do you remember which one responded to you?
I'd have to look.
I don't know. We can find that information out for you. I know there's well in the
Well,
city.
it's not all that important, I just was
Well,
wondering which
It's
one.
a good question, Ms. Belfield, because if it's Roanoke Rapids School District, it's significantly different than Halifax or
Oh,
Willoughby.
yeah, I know that.
Or is it an average of the three?
And
Right,
I was
right.
gonna follow up, saying that reading they're higher in some places than in Nash County, is it because of Low West County?
And you're exactly right.
Yeah, there's-
I mean, we were just asked to get the comparisons, but we can go back and see which actual system this was. It was not out of deception, we didn't give it, it's just simply, we got, she
I
probably.
didn't know that they had 3 different districts.
Well, there's only one LEA named Halifax County Schools. The
So
other,
that's
it would
where
have
I
been
got it.
Weldon, or it would have been Roanoke Rapids.
Well, I got Halifax.
So that's Halifax County. We'll verify it.
Ms. Blackwell, here's where I'm confused. I go in and I look at a lot of information, and the information I've got is for year 2017. That's the most current information I could get on local salary supplements. And I got this information from the North Carolina Association of County Commissioners Document Center.
Right,
So that's where I got the information, and I'd like to maybe, make sure I can compare it, if not in this meeting, after the meeting, this information kind of with what you've got. And again, this is 2017, but I'm looking at Edgecombe, Wilson, and Nash-Rocky Mount. And when I look at Edgecombe County Public Schools for year 2017, I'm looking at average. I'm not looking at negotiated supplements. But the average teacher supplement is $3,040.
right,
The average principal supplement is $8,561. The average assistant principal is $3,653. So when I go over to Nash-Rocky Mount, compared to Edgecombe, the average teacher in Nash-Rocky Mount is $4,475. I'm gonna do the principal last, because that's gonna stagger you. The average assistant principal is $5,449. When I look at principals, the average principal supplement on here is $12,484. Compare that to Wilson, the average teacher supplement is $3,572. The average principal supplement is $10,795, and the assistant principal is $10,438, which is double what Nash-Rocky Mount is, but there's such a disparity in the principal supplement. But again, I don't know, this is just information that I was able to ascertain.
and those reports, each LHA has to fill those out every year based on the supplements we pay.
But if I look at this and you're just using simple math, if an average principal supplement is $12,484, then 10% of that, which is kind of your average teacher, 10%, that would make their average salary $120,000.
Well, that's
That's
I can
my
tell you
point.
that's
The
not-
difficulty with using an average, particularly with comparing us with Edgecombe, is we have significantly more schools and significantly more secondary schools. So when you have professionals that transition, and give you an example of a negotiated salary, you have recruited a professional who's in a central office position to take a high school position for us. That salary will be comparable. So those are the negotiations that have taken place. But using that average salary is misleading, particularly comparing us with a smaller district with far less middle and high schools.
Well,
They are reports that each LHA, we fill them out every year and submit them.
can you provide us, I'm not asking for names, schools, I'm just asking, you can number them, 1 through, how many principals have you got? 20,
28.
28, that's what this report says. This report says 28, you got 40 assistant principals. So I don't know how many the state allows, that's probably more than they allow, but can you provide us with a listing by number, 1 through 40 for assistants, 1 through 28 for principals? And I don't want names, I don't want schools, you can mix it up any way you like, but give me the salary for that number and the supplement for that number, so we can see where the disparities are, how we arrive at an average supplement of 12,000. Could we get that?
Sure.
Okay.
One of the things we also have to keep in mind, Wayne, is the fact that experience plays in a lot with salaries. And if we have more experienced administrators than maybe our other county, that could fluff the average too.
Well,
when
but kind of what I heard you say once, Wayne, was that we lost principals to Wilson because they go over there and they make more money. But on average, when you look at Wilson versus Nash-Rocky Mount, a principal would be losing on average $2,000 to go to Wilson County.
Well,
It's just the numbers. I mean, I didn't make up the numbers, I just pull them up.
So there's a lot of variables that could tie into this, and it has been pointed out. If you're a low-performing school, you're gonna make X amount of money, base salary from the state, compared to if you're a higher performing school with growth. And I know we lost one particular principal this year that went to a comparable school in Wilson County, went from a low-performing school to a high-performing school, and got a $10,000 raise. So there's a
New
lot of
Hope?
other variables.
Is this the one that went to New Hope?
Yes. So, I mean, there's a lot of, and she's getting ready to retire, so that was a big incentive for her to be able to leave our district to
The
go to
only
that
thing I'm
district.
saying is that you guys understand all this stuff
Yeah.
completely.
Yeah.
And we don't, we're just trying to understand it.
Yeah.
And we look at the numbers say A,
Right.
and then we hear B. I'm just trying to understand where the
So-
discrepancy
just
in
for-
the numbers is.
For protocol, because there've been 2 requests that are gonna require considerable staff time.
Right.
Those are requests, and for committing, we'll need the board to endorse and then let us
Right.
know. So they've received the request, but they'll give us guidance on whether to complete those, or if there's another way to go about getting that need met, okay?
So what I was gonna say is, we'll get together, the finance team will get together with Susan and your staff to see what we can do with that. See
Are
what,
salaries a public record?
totally, right?
Salaries are public record.
So
Shouldn't be a problem.
shouldn't be a problem.
I guess what he's
Require
saying-
board action.
What you're focusing on one. What I'm saying is the requests are adding up. You have staff just like we do. The request to private sector, your staff can complete that just as well as ours, correct? If you wanna know
No,
what's
you-
comparable,
They can
you following me?
Yeah, on
That's
that
what,
request.
so that was my point, is that the requests are starting to add up, and before our staff commits to doing that, what's appropriate is, the board has received that, and they'll let us know to move forward, but salaries are public record.
I think that the issue really is, go back to the supplements for Nash-Rocky Mountain. They're between 7.5% and 9.5% is what you're telling us, but the average is 12,400, so that's a discrepancy, so.
That's a huge discrepancy.
And there's probably one person that has raised it up.
It's probably gonna be more than one.
If 28 people are in the
Majors.
yeah. Sorry, I dropped my pen.
Well, if we could get that, that would be helpful to understand the numbers.
I think what my whole thought was in doing these committee meetings is to work probably at a little higher level than where we've gotten to today. I'm talking about flying high, not to necessarily in these meetings get into the details, but they're very important for us to gain respect for one another. They're very important for us to find those things that we can work together on. We were able to do this with supplements for teachers a number of years ago, and I think it's probably helped you. Current expense is something y'all wanted on the table. We came to the table wanting capital, y'all came with current expense, If it's now, we said we felt most comfortable in supplements of some kind, whether it be teachers, that's not something that we gonna make that decision. Y'all need to make that decision, but it seems to be the comfort level that our 7 board members could probably focus on the easiest is in the supplement line. If you now come to us and say that supplement needs to be to administrators in schools, that's something that I think will come as a direct request at some time. And certainly our board is gonna want the backup data to show the need for that. And that's kind of, we're getting a little bit in those details that maybe will come to us later. And we're allotting an hour for these meetings, and we have 7 things on the agenda today. So if we could keep moving and not get bogged down on little details, I think we'll all leave here with the ultimate goal of working together every time we meet to get to a higher level with the school system and our students is what we're after. I hope that's what we're after in all regards.
Well, that's what we're after,
Thank
Mr.
you,
Chairman,
Ms.
but we're also after trying to understand the numbers.
Sure.
And when we've got numbers that are so different from the numbers that are being shown,
Yeah.
we're just trying to understand why the difference.
Sure. And I think what we need to do, Wayne, is make our points, and then follow back up on the specific request outside of meeting, and then let our manager and the superintendent of schools decide if we're gonna do that research, or they gonna do that research. Of course, we can't do it at this table here today. We do know that, we're just gonna kind of ruffle one another up, and then we're not gonna accomplish anything.
I agree, because we've already exhausted 30 minutes worth of time.
What we have, but certainly the questions that Mr. Outlaw has brought forward, I quickly see that there's a big disparity on those numbers versus some other data we see. We've made that, known, and if y'all, at the 2 ends of the table, you have a reason for being at the end of the table, could work on seeing where we're gonna get those answers from.
Yeah, I have no idea, probably like him, about the private sector, where to get those comparable numbers.
I don't really know, that that's gonna help anybody at this table, quite frankly. If somebody disagrees with that, please say so, but I just don't see how, I don't know how you can ever compare a principal with something in the private sector.
Okay.
I just don't think we need to waste time with that. Wayne, do you disagree with that?
I agree with you. We do not need to be looking at the private sector. We need to be comparing to other systems. That's your direct competition.
Yeah. So we were, and I apologize, but, it seemed like, but we're on item 2, Dr. Jefferson, or we still have more information on item 2?
No, that completes her presentation.
Okay.
Real quick, before we close on item 2, we did have some other comparisons I think you guys are looking for with the school system, other school systems. That will probably be, did they get a package for that?
They were embedded in this,
Okay.
in the PowerPoint, where they were comparing, what they asked about were, how are we positioned with the supplements
Right.
to neighboring districts? That was embedded in the presentation. And we'll make sure we
Thank
send them the link to that, but it's in the e-boards right now.
Because Wade was a part of the package.
So, and we'll get that, you say, Dr.
Yes,
Jefferson?
sir.
That's fine. Okay.
If we're done with item number 2, there was a discussion for number 3 with the future Northern Nash Area Elementary School.
That was something that we started last time. I don't know if there's much to be said here today. In reading the local papers, I do know you had a facilities meeting.
Yes, sir.
And I believe everything that is in the paper sounds like it went well. Sounds like you got some ideas of how you're gonna move forward. We just want to continue to tell you anything we can help you with in that area. Please let us know.
What our committee did yesterday is we made a recommendation that it will go to our board at the next board meeting, which will be April the 12th. And then we've scheduled some additional facility meetings, one for the 16th of April, which is the Monday immediately following our board meeting. And then we went ahead and scheduled one on the 30th of April too. And there'll be public meetings, and and we're gonna address the protocol based on how we want to go about soliciting community input.
And all those meetings open to the public.
All those meetings will be open
So
to the
if
public.
anybody's attending those,
Well, let me ask this question, because sometimes we can go and it helps, and sometimes we make possibly some of y'all uncomfortable when we show up. So by you stating twice that it's open to the public, does that mean you're completely open to us attending some of these meetings?
I think it's open for attendance. The discussion regarding the meetings, correct me if I'm incorrect, is for those that are actually a part of the committee itself. There may be times we may open it up for any questions outside of people that serve on that committee, but it's primarily for the committee itself to make the recommendation to bring back to the board.
And any board members that want to attend, they also can participate, they just don't vote.
Yeah. But please keep in mind that, I feel like, and I think y'all agree with this statement, when our two bodies go into an item on the same side of the page, it generally works a lot better. So anything we can do, even if you need some help on the committees or whatever you see fit that we can help you with, if you just keep us informed and let us know what you want us to do, I just know we can help you personally. You're in my area. I know I can help you a whole lot with some of the people out there. But all of our board, you're in part of my area, in Miss Richardson as well. One thing we did that we would just like to give you, and it's not us trying to attend your business, but I want to show you what our mapping ability is that will help you in the facility process. I asked for this map prior to our last meeting, didn't get a chance to open it, but this is strictly a map that shows all tracts of land within a 1 mile radius of the center of Red Oak. It also shows all public land, which is either y'all own it or we own it or the town of Red Oak owns it. Mike, you did some updates on this, I think. If I could get those and just roll them out briefly, and then we're gonna hand them to you and move on. But just the kind of things that we feel like we can help you with in going through this process. We kind of changed our venue, not at that last minute, and we were prepared to have these, but short and long of it, we give you all property areas. You know how many acres it takes to build a school. It's somewhere between 25 and 30 at the elementary school size that we need. We've shown you the land in blue that is currently owned by a public entity of some sort. You see buildings that are currently owned there, like your Red Oak Elementary here, your Red Oak Middle here. You see how much land you got left here. You see our park, and you see everything else that's in that 1 mile radius there. Does the school have to be in a 1 mile radius? Not just looking at this map, it don't, but when you look at all the maps we're gonna give you, you see where it's headed to, that it may well have to. That's a little clearer because it doesn't have the facilities on it, but I've always heard that there was plenty of land at this location to do a school. I'm not sure it is. Once you locate that there, your ball field's there, and then you see what you got left. But then you see all these large tracts of land in this whole area. I may be a little earlier for you. And Mike, water and sewer is the next layer, which is
This is the proposed water system.
proposed water system and existing sewer.
It's a big one, so.
Yeah, okay. And this is the only way to tell you what we can help you with.
And that proposed water system, that's gonna happen, right?
That is gonna happen. It's actually going to, construction. If I say a date, Mike's gonna shoot me sitting in the back of me, going to bid when, Mike?
May.
In May. That's the date I would've said. I didn't know where it slipped or not.
We hope to be in construction this summer.
Right, so long before we build a school, this water system will be in effect.
We have financing for phase 1.
And we have, that's part of our last August $10 million grant process to do this. So this is water.
Yes,
And
that's
I guess the last one is sewer.
This is the overall contact sheet for the Red Oak sewer in the area.
And this is by far the most important one, because we all know that if we build a new school, the state is gonna make us put it on the sewer if it's reasonably available is the term they use, so. Mike, can we at some point maybe get all this on one map, possibly overlay it?
Yes, sir.
Okay.
So let me just.
One of the things that,
Wayne, real quick, because basically I want to make sure we still focus, and I want to make sure I still respect my chair, because she's going to actually oversee the whole operation of this. So, Madam Chair, any input that you got, because we're sort of, some of
We're
these are.
receiving this
Yeah,
information right
okay.
now.
this is just good information, because part of our process, you weren't at the meeting the other day, correct me if I'm wrong, is we're gonna have to get a group together to look at these kind of things, so to see what the feasibility of all this is, and they're gonna help us make those decisions. This is just good information to
Well, we
have,
want to tell you what
to
we
be
can
able
help
to
you
do
with.
that process.
Right, exactly, and that's all it's for.
Right.
And again, this sewer situation is probably gonna be your most important battle.
Those are tremendously helpful. We appreciate the extension of the use of your resources.
Does it have a cost item on the sewer information that's gonna have,
Say that
how much it's gonna cost?
Well,
to get all this
that's
done?
sewer.
This is existing.
Right.
There is no.
Because that piece in itself saves us a lot of money.
And there is
Wouldn't take
no,
a-
there is no planned future sewer extensions.
Right.
This is what is available currently.
Currently.
And kind of what we've got to look seriously at working with. Now, if we get somewhere and the land's right and everything else, there can be a sewer extension possibly, but all of that's expenses that will come away from school.
Good information, thank you.
And Mr. Dollar, may be worth exploring in the future to see if the county has staff that may be able to join us in those smaller focus groups and the potential town halls in the event that there are questions from the public.
Especially in those original focus groups that we're gonna pull together.
Yes, sir.
Anything else on the school,
Thank you.
Dr. Jeffers, to talk about right now, or we're all on track?
No, sir.
Okay.
The update you have is that the Facilities Committee has proposed a process whereby they'll solicit community engagement. That's gonna go before the full board for their endorsement at the next open meeting.
Wayne, any questions on that?
No, just a comment that, I like, the fact that parents will be participating in, hopefully in these town hall meetings.
Yes, sir.
And if they don't, at least they get the information before the final decision is made.
There is a plan, sir, that parents will have representation in both the small groups and the broader town hall. The broader town halls will be open to everyone, but the same information will be discussed. The rationale for starting with small focus groups is so that we can allow for exhaustive questioning in that area specific to that region. Trying to do that with multiple regions, I don't think we do justice to the questions they may have.
We've had one meeting in the area that wasn't a good meeting a number of years ago, and what you're doing is gonna avoid that from happening again. I
We're
think.
trying to learn from
Long-
history.
Long
Commissioner.
prior to your time.
Yes, sir.
Mr. Lane, anything else on this? Thank you.
Mr. Sharp.
All right, so the next thing that you guys want to have discussion on was Senate Bill 382. I sort of looked that bill up, and,
Did you look at the current session? The current session is the ordinance.
yeah, I did. I looked at, when I first pulled it up, it gave me something a little bit different. It was about mobile hair salon. So, I don't think that's what we were gonna talk about.
No, we're actually talking about the,
Nash and Edge.
I should have said, Session Law 2016-14, Senate Bill 380.
We were able to figure it out.
Okay, and all it was there is, we were halfway through that process, a 4-year process. We know that date is coming, and anything that we need to jointly be doing to make sure we're ready at that date for whatever changes are called for in this, maybe to put on a future meeting of this committee to discuss. I've just happened to have it on a particular file that we are halfway through it and need to be prepared when the time gets here.
I defer to both boards on that one.
Right.
Yeah, I think that's something that the chair would probably want to convene with us to have a discussion on it.
Yes, I have.
Wayne or Fred, Mr. Lamb, any comment on that item? I know it's gonna include a lot of re-imaging, a lot of name changing, and instead of buying a truckload of stationery, you might wanna buy half a truckload. There's all kind of things you can do early to mitigate that cost. Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Item number 5 is 2018-19 local funding.
That was at the request of the county to add that one. We're prepared to discuss any questions.
The reason we put that on there is simply because we agreed wholehearted that these meetings would be on capital as well as local funding. We probably done the majority of it in a couple of items, particularly number 2. We, Mr. Lamb, have an agreement on our budget schedule.
Yes, sir.
All that's in place. I don't have any real thought process on local funding other than to make sure we continue to let you know that we understand these meetings are for both items.
Okay.
Both funding as well as capital.
We did finalize that meeting. I think there was a conflict.
We, Ms.
April.
Rogers, is the 24th? 24th is the finalized.
It bounced around there for a few days.
At 24th, great.
And that's April.
Yes, sir. And you all are hosting, correct?
Yeah, 6 p.m.
And we're doing it at the community college.
Right.
Is the thought process, okay. That's what I got. That's what
Anything else on item 5?
it would need to come from y'all, sir.
No, sir.
And the only reason I'm saying that because when we first got this agenda,
Yep.
when I saw it yesterday,
Yes, sir.
I saw 3 or 4 different items popping up on the agenda, and I'm saying, what are these? So. Question and answers. Q&A time. I think we've talked a lot. We had a lot of questions. Information been shared. Dr. Jeffries?
It's probably an excellent spot on the agenda for us to start working on potential agenda items for the next meeting and setting, just a recommendation, setting the next meeting date.
One thing, questions and answers, Dr. Jefferson, the last time I made a quick statement that I knew you had some opportunities at one of your middle schools. We mentioned the name of it, and we offered that anything we can help in that situation or anything commissioners or any county staff could do. That is not not in our review or on our table as a responsibility. We fully understand that. It appears from a number of calls I have received today that it is still an ongoing project, and we will offer again to help in any way we can, whatever that may be. And I don't have anything to say but that, but anybody else, and of course we're talking about Nash Central Middle School. Wayne or Fred, any comment on that? I did not attend the meeting last night, simply because I had another meeting I needed to be at, over at Red Oak, but, it seemed like, I did have a number of phone calls. I'll say a number, when I get 4 or 5 calls in a morning on the same subject matter, that's a number. But, again, it's not a county commissioner issue, but anything we can do to help, please feel free to call us.
We appreciate the offer.
Either one of the other commissioners, any comment on that?
I got, calls after the meeting last night, got some emails and.
And you went to the meeting?
I did go up to the meeting and I was, and I have not had anything much to say about this. It's not within my authority. I did indicate to the individual that I would share privately with, the chairman and the superintendent the information that they gave to me. If they wanted me to, they asked me to stand down, not do that, because, they had got a meeting scheduled with the principal, Mr. Mitchell. So they're gonna meet with him, I think, on Wednesday, and then I'll hear something else, but I'll share it with you, Ms. Edge, in conference.
Well, thank you for directing them to him, because as you noticed when she said that, he said she's never talked to him except, and then she said at the beginning of the year. So I hope she
know-
will go back.
I know that was what was the back
Yeah.
and forth,
Yeah.
but the information that I got was that, not that. So
Okay,
it's a-
all right,
it's a
I'll
different-
talk to you.
Okay.
Okay, thank you.
Any other Q&A? Yes,
The
sir.
next meeting, did we,
We were talking about for the next meeting,
yes,
so.
it's today, Tuesdays,
When your next meeting is the 16th?
16th of April, and that's because we have to get approval of our board from what we discussed on our agenda yesterday on the 12th. And so we scheduled it immediate, as fast as, we didn't want to schedule on Friday, we waited till Monday to schedule. So we could get an agenda for that meeting. So we really don't have an agenda yet for that meeting, but we will at the end of that part. And of course, then we scheduled another one, because we got a couple of other things too, facility-wise, beyond the northern elementary school issue.
Do y'all see, we looked at last time, the timeline on the one significant grant that we went to resubmit for, and we have a timeline on that. Are we thinking our process is gonna allow us to meet that timeline, Wayne or Dr. Jefferson?
We're gonna work towards that, hopefully, whether we're gonna be shovel-ready, what you had suggested before, I can't, I don't know, we've gotta go through this process first.
That sounds like an excellent agenda item, because we've also secured the copy of the grant from Jones County that you suggested, so that would be a good point of discussion, if everyone is in agreement that that be an agenda
I think
item.
it'd be a great agenda item.
Develop a
Any way you look
develop a
at it.
timeline for.
Yeah.
So did we say we were gonna meet this once a month? How did we put that?
We did not say, we scheduled this meeting 2 weeks after the last meeting.
Do we need to set a time frame as far as the frequency of that meeting?
Well, our hope is this will till the soil in preparation for our joint meeting, where we'll be making our formal request
Okay.
to the county, so, I'll defer to the boards on the frequency, but we.
Well, I'm
probably
going,
have some more
and
soil
we
too.
push for these meetings, I'm certainly, I think our board is certainly willing to meet as often as we need to. We don't need to meet because we just have a meeting, we need to have something substance to cover. But I tend to think that 2 to 3 weeks is an implement that we need to stay on because of this grant deadline, if for no other reason, but certainly we're all going into budget season, and any way you look at it, $15 million is a very large number and a heck of a kickoff for any school that we may build. So I'm thinking 2 to 3 weeks maybe.
if you wanna meet between now and April 24th, I'd take a date about center and meet then. So that'd be like the first week of April maybe, or second week.
Second week, when spring break?
First week, April.
So we're probably looking at, the spring break's the first week, so we're probably
Okay.
looking at around the week of the April 9th
Sure.
through the 13th.
We have board meeting on the 12th.
On the 12th, we got a board meeting.
Then we'll talk about item 2 again.
So Friday.
Oh. How about this, when is our meeting for the,
The 24th is a Tuesday, that's the joint meeting.
right? So how about that, on that 16th?
We're meeting there.
Huh?
We're meeting at 9 o'clock in the morning.
We're meeting on-
And anything that we would decide, the decisions from that committee meeting would have to go to the May 5th board meeting.
Well, here's one thing.
We could share with what
We
we
do
discussed.
have a board meeting on the 12th, right, Madam Chair? So we have a board meeting, you guys are gonna present to the board anything from the facility side on the 12th?
This process that we just
All
talked
right,
about.
so we will have presented to the board, and we can have some discussion on the 16th regarding those findings with the commissioners. Yeah, we look at the 16th, which is that Monday. And I know you guys are meeting that Monday morning.
No, we meet at 2:30 that Monday.
to history commission. Okay.
What are we gonna do after
You talking about on the 16th?
Yes, sir.
And that what we said yesterday?
9 o'clock, yeah,
9
on
o'clock
the
on the
16th, yeah.
16th.
Well, they got a board meeting on the county commission board meeting on the 16th as well.
I have a point of clarification. Item number 2, we discussed at length today. We spent 30 minutes on it, but I didn't, the county commissioners asked for some specific information that they want to look at. Are we going to discuss this as a committee, or are we just going to wait until the 24th and do our presentation? Because obviously, we didn't have an end to that discussion. You asked for information, and I'm sure you want to look at it.
I think Commissioner Davis rescinded the one in terms of reviewing
Okay.
corporate, but there's still us compiling the list of salaries as they requested.
I think it would be a good idea to talk about that as well as the, school another time before we get together to joint meeting, at least those 2 items.
How about the 9th or the 10th?
Is the 10th
That would give it,
work for most of us?
That's a Tuesday.
That's a Tuesday. And that would give us 1, 2, 3 weeks from today.
and then 2 weeks before the next
2 weeks before the next joint meeting.
Until May in the afternoon.
Yes, sir.
It seems to work best at the 3 o'clock.
Yep.
Ms. Edge, is that?
10 o'clock, fine, on the
No,
10th
no,
at 3 o'clock.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm, gotcha.
Jefferson.
I'll be returning from the National School Board Association, but you all can have the meeting. I don't stop the show, we'll have enough staff to support it.
Yeah, I'm gonna be able to get
So
it
we're
on
looking at
time,
Tuesday the
it's gotta
10th at
take
3 o'clock.
Or does
16
Wednesday
you
work
be here
better?
on the
I think we
11th?
should,
You be here on the 11th?
let's do Wednesday, I think.
I will be.
Let's do Wednesday, I think that would be better.
So Dr. Jeffries can be here on Wednesday?
Absolutely.
Yeah, let's do Wednesday.
So we're gonna do 3 o'clock on the 11th?
Well, we're on the 11th of April.
Yes, sir.
Yes.
Well, we're supposed to be going to a district meeting,
In Pasquotank.
That's at 5:30.
5:30. Yeah, but if we talk
We gotta
about
get there.
3,
Move
yeah,
it
it's gonna
to
take
2
you
o'clock.
2 hours.
2
So it's
hours.
possible to do it at 2 o'clock?
No, that's what.
That's not a problem.
2 o'clock on the 11th?
Yes, ma'am.
Why? Give me time.
We've kind of been
That'll
doing
give you
this
time.
simultaneously. We have 3 items, if I'm correct, Mr. Lamb. It's the grant application, continuing administrative salaries discussion, and the potential elementary school.
Okay.
And just for clarity, Dr.
Okay,
Jeffries,
is it
you,
2?
Yes, sir.
2 o'clock.
At 2 o'clock.
for clarity, you and Mr. Lair will be working together to come up with the information on that package.
Correct.
All right,
On the what?
on that salary package.
Okay.
Ms. Davis, would it be better for us to be
They're
at
hosting
your
on the
place?
11th.
I don't know that there is a better,
Or is it
as
more
long as we
convenient for you
agree,
to get on, to go on
Get on
your?
64 and get to Pasquotank quicker.
may help a little bit, may help just a little bit. What you wanna do, Mr. Lamb, on that? You
2
want to-
o'clock? Where you want?
No, where at?
Oh,
David?
either place. I mean, we'll host this time, yeah,
Sir.
Okay. And where we do that, in our commission room?
in your conference room, commissioner's conference room,
It'll accommodate us, okay,
yes.
okay. That's on the 3rd floor.
Okay, we're all straight where we're coming, okay.
Yes. And, yes, ma'am. I'll stop right
Okay.
there.
2 o'clock.
2 o'clock. Dr. Jeffers, when you listed 3 items, grant and elementary school, the grant being the one for the elementary school?
Correct.
Okay, so that's.
But having those as separate
Gotcha,
discussions,
gotcha.
because we'll probably have some information to update you on as it relates to the facilities.
And if either side has an item or 2, if we would just notify each other
Yes, sir.
a few days ahead, so
Yeah,
we'll all know what
we
we're
get a
doing.
little advance notice.
Sure.
All right, if that's it, it is 4 o'clock. If nothing else causes board's attention, adjourn. Thank you.